It's the Brian Lehrer Show on WNYC. I'm Bridget Bergen, filling in for Brian today, and we are closing out today's show with a thank you note to New York City. Now, if you listen to WNYC regularly or even just keep up with your neighborhood chatter, gratitude may not be the most obvious word used to describe people's feelings towards the city, particularly on a very rainy day, but there's a reason so many of us choose to live here, right? In fact, there are many reasons. So as we approach the end of the year, we're going to take stock of them. And here to help, New York Magazine has just published a list of 39 reasons to love New York. It's a roundup of some of the bizarre and idiosyncratic things happening in the Big Apple and why, despite everything, we continue to love this place. Joining me now to run through some of those reasons is Erik Maza, editor-at-large of New York Magazine. Erik, welcome to WNYC.
Hi, Bridget. Thanks for having me.
And so there's a lot of things on this list I want to talk to you about. But first, listeners, we need your voices in this conversation. What is your reason for loving New York City? Call or text 212-433-WNYC. That's 212-433-9692. Is it a person, a place, a thing, a general vibe, a new leader, or a new law? Is it the fact that despite the odds, the old New York still feels ever present? Or do you love this place because the city is ever evolving? Or maybe it's just a combination of all of those things. Give us a call, 212-433-9692. You can call or text that number. Erik, I want to start with number 2 on your list. You and I both have a copy of the magazine itself, different covers, I will note. But number 2 is, quote, because we're sharing headphones on the subway again, which is also the cover photograph with some different iconic pairings that New York Magazine put together. Why was this the one central to round up the whole issue? What does this trend say about New York?
Obviously, it was a challenging year for everyone, and we wanted to capture a sense of community, a sense of New Yorkers embracing each other. And the photographer who brought us who took the cover images had brought us something that she had noticed on the train. She goes by Subway Hands, and she had noticed people sharing headphones again. There's something very sweet about it. And we thought, all right, we can blow up this idea and bring it to life with New Yorkers that we all know, we recognize, we are fans of. You might be a cat person.
Right? A cat Ben Stiller cover. I love that cover.
Whereas I'm more, Jinx Monsoon, Lauren Santo Domingo Rising person. Very
nice, very nice. Let's skip to reasons 3 and 4, which are also character-driven. Reason 3 is because a truck driver built a meticulous replica of the city out of balsa wood. And reason 4 is because an architect made exact replicas of some of the graffitied trucks around the Newton Creek storage lot. What is it about these amateur craftsmen that makes us fill with pride?
I think it's the fact that it comes across the ingenuity of New Yorkers. They have regular jobs. They have personal, professional lives, and they still take time to devote to a hobby that pays respect to the city in this very artisanal way. I mean, these are time-consuming projects. Joe Mackin, who built this maquette of the city in balsa wood, has been working at it for 21 years. I think the dedication is pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive. And what's also impressive, Erik, is it took us, about 2 minutes for our lines to fill with callers who want to get in on this conversation. Let's start with Josie in Brooklyn. Josie, real quick, because we're going to get in as many people as we can. Why do you love New York?
Because of all of the opportunities for like anonymously helping each other, holding the door open. Yesterday, a baby carriage woman, I held the door open for her, but then I was struggling with my own cart, and a random guy passing on the street, just held open the door for me, and I got in, and we all got in. It's really nice.
Josie, thanks for that call. Let's go to Sally on the Upper West Side. Sally, what makes you love New York?
Well, first of all, because I don't have to know how to drive, which I do, but I didn't ever like it, and I don't have to own a car, but also for all the cultural things that are available. And if you've been here long enough, you can figure out free or very low-cost ways to take advantage of them. The diversity, as you have said, and the fact that, the city changes all the time.
The city does change all the time, but there are a lot of callers who want to echo part of what Sally said on the transportation piece of this conversation. Let's get Terry in Manhattan very quickly. Why do you love New York, Terry?
Well, I'm crowding 70 here, but maybe I'm just a big kid at heart. When I was a kid, I loved to ride my bike, and I loved to take a ride on a train. And here in New York, I get to do those things every day. In fact, I can ride my bike more here in Manhattan than I can in the Hudson Valley where I grew up as a kid.
Terry, thank you so much for that call. I want to slip in a couple texts. One listener writes, as a lifelong aficionada of social dance, in New York City, a person can find a community and a place to dance for just about every social dance out there. Cuban, salsa, Argentine, tango, West Coast swing, Spanish flamenco, Bollywood, belly dancing, you name it. You can probably find a place to do any of those dances any night of the week. Thank you so much for that text. Let's jump back into your list, and we'll bring in some more callers as they come in. Reason number 6 is, you say, quote, because say what you will about Eric Adams. He did get the garbage under control. Now, this is interesting because I've also been hearing some people express maybe a little nostalgia about him and his particular style of showmanship. I think he would call it swagger. Throughout the rollout of what he dubbed somewhat grandiosely the trash revolution, the showmanship was on full display, and it actually worked. But I also think that most people probably associate him with some of his corruption scandals. So Adams is getting a shout out in this kind of surprising way. Why did you decide to include him in this list, but in a very narrow fashion?
Well, first of all, I'll say that I don't think Eric Adams is going away anytime soon. I'm sure we'll be seeing him in an episode of Dancing with the Stars or something.
We can hope.
We can all hope for Eric Adams on Dancing with the Stars. But I thought we discussed the best way to tip our hat to the Eric Adams administration. And we had arrived at the conclusion that the garbage situation was fixed, and we can all be thankful for that. He may have registered a number of corruption scandals, and he may have spent more time at Zero Bond than anyone should, but he did clean up the streets.
He did indeed. Let's skip to reasons 13 and 14. Both of those two focus on how during several ICE raids, New Yorkers stopped what they were doing to prevent their neighbors from being taken. Some of them were just passersby on Canal Street. Another was a baseball coach shielding his young players from officers. What makes these moments so New York?
These are two of the more poignant stories in the issue. And I think part of what makes them so moving is something that one of the earlier callers had alluded to. An expression of kindness when you least expect it. These were regular New Yorkers in the middle of Canal Street on a weekday, and they heard from ambient conversation that a raid was imminent, and they decided to band together with activists and make a statement and prevent something terrible from happening. I think that fills us all with a great deal of gratitude and warmth for the city.
I'm going to bring in Mary from Staten Island very quickly. Mary, why do you love New York?
The city that never sleeps.
Thank you, Mary. Very, very specific, very quick. We've got some great texts that have also come in. One listener writes, born in Brooklyn, grew up in St. Albans, now in Maryland. And because it's the greatest city in the world and the greatest city that ever existed, treasure the Big Apple. I love New York City more as a professional bartender. We've got one of the best cocktail scenes in the world. I love New York City because of my kind, helpful, compassionate, open-minded fellow New Yorkers. Another listener writes, and I must read, I love New York because of Brian Lair. Well, all of WNYC, but especially Brian Lair.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Very, very sweet.
I'll co-sign the cocktails thing. I was just at Indochine last night having a hell of a martini.
Ooh. Let's hit Reason 18 very quickly. Because Sunset Park now has its own trilingual newspaper.
Yes.
That is so cool. Well, that's a lot of languages in one paper. Tell me about that project and why it is so uniquely New York.
One of my great colleagues, Alexis, is a big fan of the writer of this story, and Cadet, and came across the story of the Sunset Post in Anne's newsletter, and we just love that this one guy, again, talking about dedication to a singular project, this one former journalist decided late in life to start his own community newspaper and to find local stories in his neighborhood and get some scoops. I think we can all identify with that.
I think that is great. I'm going to sneak in really quickly. Caller 8, Charlotte, in Jersey City. You have about 15 seconds, Charlotte. Why do you love New York?
It's great for birthday parties. I took Sarah 15 years ago and all of her friends to the Marriott Marquis so they could ride up and down in the glass elevators. They had a blast.
That is wonderful. I love it. There are so many reasons to love New York. You can read about more of them in the latest issue of New York Magazine. I want to thank my guest, Erik Maza, editor-at-large. Encourage you to all pick up, whatever copy of New York Magazine you can get with various covers and find your own reason to love New York. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Bridget. I appreciate it.
The Brian Lair Show's producers are Lisa Allison, Mary Croak, Amina Cerna, Carl Boiserand, Esperanza Rosenbaum, and this month, Sasha Linden Cohen. Megan Ryan is the head of live radio. Shana Sangstock and Milton Ruiz are at the studio controls today. That's The Brian Lair Show. Stay tuned for all of it.